Referencing a company's Instagram profile is an amazing way to stand out from the sea of cold emails that a prospect inevitably gets on a day-to-day basis. However, it's quite difficult to reference an Instagram post because A, Instagram is quite harsh on scrapers and it's generally quite hard to find data, and B, it's usually hard to determine what the actual content of a picture is without sounding corny. But in today's video, I'm going to show you a way to do it with Clay and Apify. It is a great way to combine Apify's scrapers and Clay's enrichment data to send out a cold email referencing their Instagram account. The first thing I wanted to show you before hopping into this is the Apify platform itself. Apify is essentially a marketplace in which you're able to find scrapers of different websites or stores. There are 1,500 plus actors that you can use to scrape different aspects of the internet. And in this case, we're going to be using what is called their Instagram profile scraper. All it requires is a list of Instagram usernames, and it will scrape those usernames and find a ton of different data on the company's Instagram. The first step, of course, here is finding a list of companies within your ICP and then finding their Instagrams. This can actually be quite difficult to do at scale, but I found a way to do it using Clay and store leads. We are now in Clay, which is just a way to find and enrich and structure data for personalized email campaigns. I am able to go to new table and then go to find companies with store leads. And we're going to select Clay's API key for this case. You can put in a query for really anything you'd like. The example they put here is handmade soap in New York City, but the main thing we're going to look for is the minimum revenue count. In this case, I just put in $1 million, and that is the only filter I put on here. And once you import that information, you will have a ton of info on these companies. You can see here we have 100 different Shopify stores that are estimated to have a revenue of $1 million or more. And the next step, how are we going to find their Instagram accounts? So if you actually go into the results, you will see there's a ton of information about these companies. And if we go down to contact info and we open up some of these, you will see that they have a Twitter account, they have an Instagram account, they have a YouTube account, their phone number, their LinkedIn. And this is the case with pretty much any of the results, especially for these major companies like Stanley, 8 Sleep, or Gymshark. But it is not structured so each one of these is always going to be Instagram or always going to be Twitter. You can see here, I mapped out the first 4 contact columns, and sometimes there's a phone number here, sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's Instagram, sometimes it's Twitter. It's not always super reliable on which column is going to be attributed to which social media platform. After I mapped these 4 columns out, I then used a formula to extract just the one that contains their Instagram. All I did was use the AI formula generator and said, print out of these values that contains Instagram, and I fed the 4 contact columns in here. And you can see that it very reliably is able to pop out an Instagram account for each one of these companies. However, if we go back to the profile script right here, you'll see that we need to find the exact username of the Instagram profile. But luckily on Instagram, it is always structured the same, instagram.com/ and then the username. So all I had to do was use another formula, and I told it to find the values after the last slash in the Instagram URL, and it was able to find us that username quite reliably. Now we have the usernames for most of the companies that we were looking for. All we have to do is click filter and filter by the Instagram profile being not empty. After that, we can just scroll all the way down here and we can copy as many of these as we'd like. In this case, we'll do them all, and we paste them right into here. So if you want to paste them in bulk, you just click bulk edit and you can copy and paste the list right here, and it will do so perfectly via Clay. So after that, all we have to do is click start and it will do the run for us. As you can see, this is a completed run that I did earlier today of this same exact list of companies, and I was able to find all of this information about the companies. However, we want all of this information to be within Clay because we are going to use this information for an email campaign. This is where the new Clay Apify integration comes in. What we can do here is we can create yet another table, and we can go down to pull data from Apify actor. And once you connect your API key, which I've already done, then find the actor that I used earlier, this Instagram profile scraper, and select it. And when we press continue and add it to a new table, it will run and add all these companies into a Clay table. So here's what it looks like when we've imported the data. All we'll really have here is just the record, and you can map out a few of these different columns on your own. So if we click on our record, there is a ton of information, such as their username, the profile picture URL, how many followers they have, how many videos they have. We can even look at each of their individual posts and the captions that come with them, as well as the Instagram URL. So a ton of data. First thing I did was pop out the username. The next thing I did was pop out their full name of the company. Now I have these 2 core data pieces. What I wanted to do next was find the data from this previous table, our IG Finder table, and import it into the current one. Luckily, Clay has an integration called lookup row and other table. All you have to do is go to enrich data and type in lookup. You can see right here that if we pull our IG Finder table in here, we use the Instagram profile equals, and we use our username, it will find all of the data related to the company in the previous table. So this is all the data in this table that has now been mapped out here. Now we're able to map out a ton of different things about this company's Instagram, but the thing I wanted to do in this specific example is to reference a company's recent Instagram post post in the first line of an email. So all I had to do was go to the Apify record here, go down to latest posts, and map out the Instagram post URL, the caption to that Instagram post, and the alt text if that alt text was available, and the timestamp in which it was posted. And so next what I wanted to do was use that information that I just scraped and reference it in an Instagram post. All I had to do was go to the OpenAI. Once you go to the prompt, all I said was write me the first line of an email referencing this company's recent Instagram post based off the caption, alt text, and date. It should follow this template. Saw your recent IG post, and then here's the comment. The comment should be a kind remark using inferences about what the picture is via the caption, link, alt text, and date. Just print the first line, and here's the information. And then I fed the 3 different columns into here. Once we ran it, they look pretty good. Saw your recent IG post. I enjoyed your creative reminder to spring clean our Stanley quenchers. Perfect timing for the first day of spring. Saw your recent IG post. A new collection seems to be full of cozy and stylish designs. Perfect for the colder months. Looking forward to seeing more. So you can see here that it is a really solid reference of this person's most recent Instagram post. We can check that by actually clicking on the URL right here and seeing that it was able to determine that this jacket looks pretty dang cozy. And it was able to say that in the Instagram post because OpenAI can now scrape the internet as well as use the caption as reference point. After that, all I had to do was use another formula to pop out the quotation marks. You can see they show up sometimes in the output. Wanted to clean it up a bit. Now I have the first liner for my email. However, I don't have anybody to actually email yet. If you've noticed, I only have the company name, but I need to find a decision maker now to then email with this first liner reference. What I did was I used a Clay integration called Find Contact at Company. This is pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to find people that fit certain job titles at a company. Right here, I put a bunch of decision maker keywords such as CEO, Vice President, President, COO, CMO. And after that, I ran it and we were able to find people who fit those job titles at the specific companies. For example, here we have Jake McCann, a Vice President at Steve Madden. I decided to pop out the first person that it gave me here and their company domain. And next, what we can do in Clay is find their work email. What I did here was use a work email waterfall, which is just found by clicking enrich data, typing in work email, and you're able to find these different data providers to find their work email. And all it requires is their full name and their company domain. We can validate it to make sure it's an actual email that we can send to at the very bottom here. So after I ran the waterfall, you'll see here that we found quite a few emails for the people that we're trying to reach out to. And suddenly we have a campaign essentially built out to reach out to these people referencing their Instagram profiles. That is an incredibly powerful workflow that is able to reference Instagram posts that you can build out in Clay yourself. There are a ton of possible use cases you can use for this, and I would highly recommend playing around with it a bit to see if it works well for your ICP. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can also go to the Clay Slack to ask questions, and I would highly recommend trying Clay. It is a super powerful tool, as well as its integration with Apify, which is one of the best scrapers out there for most needs. So hope this was helpful to you and add some value, and happy prospecting.